Price and timing are the two greatest concerns of homeowners who need to sell their home, but you shouldn't need to compromise on either one of these. Today we're discussing strategies to get your home sold for the highest possible price in a time frame you need without losing money. Aloha, my name is Chris Shomo. I'm a real estate agent and owner and founder of Home Sweet Home Hawaii Real Estate, brokered by eXp Realty. Welcome to our channel. If you're a homeowner thinking about selling your home and you have questions about how to handle your situation, feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is below. Now let's face it, selling your home can feel overwhelming because of the risks involved, whether you know the risks or the ones, especially the risks you don't know. And on top of that, add all the stress of making a move, right? But with the right strategies, you can sell your home quickly and maximize your profit. One doesn't need to be sacrificed for the other. And in this video, we're going to be diving into the process to sell your home quickly without sacrificing value. Whether you're moving to a new area or if you're downsizing or just ready for a change, this should be helpful information. It really comes down to using key strategies and being intentional with how the home is prepared and presented in the listing. But first, let's talk about the state of Oahu's real estate market. Oahu's real estate market has been dynamic over the past few years. And in 2024, for example, the median home price was hovering around 1.1 million, and homes typically spend around 50 days on the market. However, selling quickly and profitably in this competitive market means understanding the trends. So let's talk about the statistics in a seller's market. And Hawaii tends to be a seller's market, which is to your advantage, right? Inventory remains tight with housing supply lower than demand, particularly for single family homes. Now let's talk about price trends. Homes priced competitively often sell within the first 30 days. And heck, if the house is in beautiful shape compared to the other homes for sale in your neighborhood, we can even get it under contract in a week. Now let's talk about buyer behavior from the perspective of a home seller. Many buyers on Oahu are seeking properties in desirable locations, and there are just way too many to list in Oahu, but affordability remains a challenge for some. And you really need to think about how to prepare your home to sell fast. One thing for sure is you want to focus on first impressions. First impressions can actually equate to more money or less money. The curb appeal sets the stage. Homes that look well maintained attract more buyers, leading to quicker sales. So why is this? Well, there's an underlying assumption that if a home was well cared for in appearance, then it's going to be well cared for wherever you can't see it. Like maintenance issues were probably addressed. It just brings peace of mind. As a general note, buyers fear the unknown. So when there are a lot of visible issues or repair needs, that's where you're going to attract low offers and investors, of course, because they're going to buffer for those unknowns and extra costs for updating. Now, on the topic of first impressions or curb appeal, every home is unique, but you should typically think of doing things like consider minor upgrades like replacing the front door or adding plants, clean up the driveway, repaint the exterior if it's needed, and trimming the landscaping. Now, we have landscapers who regularly do this. They go in and do a yard repair specifically for the purpose of preparing to sell the home. And a lot of it is cleanup and clearing things out, but it's also putting in plants that don't take months to mature and adding green foliage or whatever. And another thing is to stage your home professionally. Staging isn't just for luxury properties, and a well-staged home, it can actually sell 30% faster and for up to 10% more money than non-staged homes. And it really highlights the open concept and airy feeling of island living. Now, there's definitely an art to good staging, and it includes things like using neutral colors, but also decluttering and even removing some of your personal items. Now, this helps buyers imagine themselves in the space when they tour your home. For example, if you really love like the color green, for example, and you've got a green living room, green in the kitchen, you know, psychologically, this just makes it hard for buyers to imagine themselves in the space. So they feel like it's someone else's house, and they just move on. So it's worth the several $100s to get your living room painted a neutral color before listing the home. Now let's talk about the strategy of pricing your home right. Pricing is key. If you set your price too high, your home will likely just get stale on the market. But if you set it too low, usually people think you're leaving money on the table, but you're not. Just a side note here, pricing a home below market value is actually one of our strategies for our sellers. And it's really used as a method, right, to get as many eyes on their property, on their home as possible, because they're like, oh my gosh, this home is priced so below market. What a steal, right? So it gets all these extra eyes on the property, and it creates a bidding war, a frenzy. Then you're in a multiple offer situation, right? Because everybody thinks they're getting a bid. But once you're competing against multiple offers, and people like the house so much, they'll just ante up their offer price. And here's the thing, if you don't see any offers that you like, you don't have to accept them, but 98% of the time, the home's gonna sell for market value or even higher than market value. Now let's talk about steps to pricing smartly, whether you're gonna be listing to sell the traditional route or not. Now look at comparable sales, or what us agents call comps, right? Homes similar to yours in square footage, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, condition of the home, and location, of course, that have sold in the past 3 to 6 months is ideal. Now, those are just a few of the things we look at, and there are many factors to compare that make a sale a reliable comp. The bottom line is, and this is super important, you want to get as close as possible to the actual sold prices, not what the homes are actually listed for, like the asking prices, meaning what the neighbor's house is priced at currently. After all, if the neighbor's house has been sitting on the market for 3 months or 6 months or longer, obviously the home is overpriced, right? It's probably overinflated, and since nobody's buying it, and if that makes sense, right? So you want to go with really what the homes have sold for in the neighborhood as your best comps. So we also look at the current homes on the market for sale to take advantage of those benefits, and we look at the time frame that similar homes have sold. If there are a lot of unique factors to the home or the property and there are 0 comps for that home, then sometimes we'll recommend clients have an appraisal done prior to the sale. There are pros and cons to getting an appraisal before going to market that need to be weighed out carefully though. And feel free to reach out to me to talk to me about the pros and cons of an appraisal prior to listing. Now, another thing that's important is understanding market conditions. So what do I mean by that? In the seller's market, sometimes you can price slightly above comps, but if you price it way too high, it makes the homeowner appear really unrealistic or unmotivated to sell. However, if, for example, your home is in an area where homes typically go under contract in 3 weeks, but your home has been listed for 2 months and you've only had a couple showings or no offers, that's usually an indication your home is overpriced. Keep in mind there are other factors to consider. If your home is in a much higher price bracket, say above the average sales price around $5 million or more, then homes in that price point, they can be on the market for 180 days to a year and still command asking price or close to it. Another strategy is to go the other direction and price it slightly under value, as I mentioned earlier, and this then becomes part of the marketing and it can generate a bidding war, but this does have to be done very carefully. Depending on what time of year it is, for example, PCS season, when military families move in or out to their next duty station, this will impact sales starting around March and going through September. And also there may be issues in the development that need to be taken into consideration. For example, if you're the owner of a condo and the HOA has an upcoming assessment, while that can be a big deal, there are simple things you can do in that situation that can make your listing appealing. And it's also important to adjust quickly if it's needed. So if your home doesn't attract offers in the first 2 weeks, be prepared to make price adjustments. This isn't just about a lower price point, but when you drop a price, it can actually trigger certain alerts online to buyers and get their attention of another group of buyers who haven't seen it yet. So for example, let's just say your home is listed at $815,000, and if you do a $15,000 price reduction, then for all the buyers who have all their alerts set up to $800,000, will now start getting the alerts of another potential property within their price bracket. So you're basically opening up your home to that new buyer pool. Now let's talk about some smart marketing strategies. Number one off the top is professional photography. It seems like a no-brainer, right? But I see this time and time again. Today's buyers start their search online, right? And 95% of them rely on photos and videos to decide which homes to see. So for us, we always hire professional photographers to showcase your home's best features, like ocean views or the updated kitchen, and take drone footage. Now, this is a service that we include, but if you hire a realtor who doesn't include this, then you should absolutely hire a photographer yourself. Never skip this step. And drone footage can really help give a feel of the neighborhood and also show the proximity to the beach or golf courses or shopping centers or the schools or pools and any other amenities or whatever. Now, most people don't know this, but another reason professional photography is super important is because investors know that poor photos will usually mean the listing isn't getting much attention, and then they'll take advantage of that with the lowball offers. The homeowner may eventually just get desperate and accept a lowball offer. And one of my biggest pet peeves, seriously, is seeing a listing with bad photos, like the agent just ran through the house and snapped a couple pics on their cell phone. It just drives me crazy because they're doing a disservice to the client, and the home doesn't look half as good as it should be looking. So another thing when you're selling is list on the right platforms. Exposure is key, and your home needs to be visible everywhere buyers are looking. Now, the MLS, for example, is the #1 spot by a landslide. And it might seem like a no-brainer, but on Oahu, if you want to sell your home quickly and if you want to get the most money for your home, the MLS is a must, and here's why. 88% of the home buyers in the US use an agent to purchase a home, and nearly all agents rely on MLS platforms to find properties for their clients. And in Hawaii, this trend is even stronger because of a large number of out-of-state buyers searching remotely. For example, you have many military families who plan to buy a home, and they prefer to do it before they arrive on island so they don't have to rent and then move a second time. And here's a stat for you from 2018 Redfin. There was a study that found that homes listed on the MLS sold for 17% more on average than homes sold off market or without the MLS exposure. So that's a big increase in price, and it reflects the competition generated by broader buyer awareness. So on Oahu, where the median home price is 1.1 million, that was in 2024, almost a 20% premium translates to an additional $187,000 for sellers who list on the MLS. Now, Oahu's MLS, through Hawaii Central MLS, is specifically tailored for the local real estate market, and it highlights unique features like proximity to the beaches. It even has tsunami evacuation zones, and it has military housing considerations that national platforms they're just not gonna have, right? So the MLS here gives the greatest online exposure, and homes are listed on the MLS. They're automatically syndicated to the major real estate aggregate websites like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com, which is where over 95% of the buyers start their search. Now, those platforms can be outdated and sometimes have inaccurate or missing information, but because they're easy to access, almost all the buyers start there. And you probably realize this, but MLS listings, they're always going to include like detailed property information, but you can also include disclosures and verified data, and that increases trust, and it reduces lots of time that's wasted on unqualified buyers or mismatched offers. And Hawaii buyers, especially out-of-state investors, they rely heavily on these verified MLS details. And of course, one of the most important things for you, the seller, is a faster sale. And according to National Association of Realtors, homes listed on the MLS, they sell an average of 20 days faster than homes not on the MLS because there's just more exposure to a larger pool of agents and buyers. Now, listing a home for sale, the marketing has to have social media platforms. And the last point on the topic of platforms, we leverage social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. So when people are scrolling through Facebook in the evenings, they're not on there, with the intention of looking for homes, but they might save it or they'll share it with someone who they know that's interested in buying a home. So of course that increases the exposure. So posting the listing or creating ads should be done to get the most interest for your home. We also post listings in many of the large local Facebook groups, and especially the majority of the military Facebook groups. Now let's talk about local exposure and neighborhood exposure. Now, open houses, for example, are they really necessary? You know, sometimes they're not, but depending on the home, it's often worth it, and here's why. When buyers have scheduling challenges, and this happens all the time, maybe one partner works different hours than the other, or maybe they're just limited in the time they have to see homes. Often they will plan to use an open house on a Sunday afternoon as their window to see their top list of homes together and come to a decision on the one that they want. This is why often you'll see a lot of homes that are listed for sale, they'll have offer deadlines by the following Tuesday or Wednesday. It's about efficiency for the buyers who need to make a decision quickly. And yes, you do get curious neighbors and people who are just kicking tires and not really serious. And you know, sometimes homeowners feel it's too much of an invasion of privacy. So we don't do open houses in those situations. But since this video is about selling your home fast for the best price, I'd say that more often than not, it's worth it for these serious buyers. Now, there are situations where open houses really just don't make much sense, or it's not possible, and that's okay. The next point on the local and neighborhood exposure is yard signage. Now, it does happen on a rare occasion that a homeowner will ask me, you know, Chris, I don't really want a sign in my yard, and that could be for a host of reasons. Maybe they're a private person, or they don't want anyone in the neighborhood to know that they're moving or that their home's for sale, and they just don't want any signage. They may feel it attracts the wrong attention or whatever, but your privacy is important, and if you're not comfortable with it, then that's completely okay. There's certainly no requirement to having a sign in the yard. That said, if you want to cast the widest net of buyers, then yard signage can be helpful. In a neighborhood, you know, sometimes there are neighbors who are actually looking on behalf of their family members, and close-knit neighborhoods can also be useful in spreading the word because they want their friends to move in. There is the adage, having the greatest visibility usually makes the greatest buyer pool. With fewer buyers, it can mean sitting on the market for a while and not having the competition to bring in offers for the expected value. Now, next up on this topic is working with the right real estate agent. An experienced real estate agent is your greatest asset when selling your home fast without losing money. So when you're choosing an agent, don't be afraid to ask the tough questions, the thorough questions. A lot can be at stake when you're selling your home, and the right real estate agent will bring you a lot of peace of mind. For one, your agent should know your area inside and out. Ask the realtor about their pricing strategies, their marketing plan, their negotiation strategies, and their track record. You also want to know that the realtor is honest. There's this thing called buying the listing that sometimes happens among realtors. It actually happens too much. And this is when a realtor will set a price way above the value of the home in order to get the homeowner to sign with them. Now, maybe it's the homeowner that's saying, I think my house is worth $200,000 or $300,000 more than it actually is. And the realtor will just agree with them, but knowing really that the home won't sell at that price, but is hoping in the long run, maybe 6 months down the road or longer, that the seller will eventually give up and then reduce the price to what the home should actually sell for. And it's an unfortunate strategy, but you want an honest realtor to tell you what the home's going to sell for and not just agree to get the listing. Another thing you should do is find out if the realtor works full-time in the industry or if selling homes is just like a side gig. You know, knowing and staying on top of the market is a full-time job, and there are current issues and regulations which are constantly changing. So the realtor is the homeowner's primary go-to person who tends to address all the fires that can come up in a transaction. The real estate agent also needs to know the limits of the contract and understand the escrow timelines. There is a lot more involved in the sale of a home than most homeowners and home buyers realize, because much of the sale and the funding and the escrow process is going on all behind the scenes. And they see the flurry of never-ending paperwork that they have to get signed, for example, but there are also a lot of parties involved throughout the escrow process who have to work together on both the side of the sale. So like the title and escrow company, the brokerages, transaction managers, Then you have the appraiser, the contractors hired to fulfill contractual obligations, like the home inspection company, the termite inspection company, the survey folks, the buyer's lender, and much more. So usually much of the responsibility falls on the real estate agent to keep things moving and address the issues as they come up. Now, don't forget the other important aspects of the transaction, and that's negotiating offers and closing quickly. Once the offers start rolling in, you need to thoroughly understand the pros and the cons of each offer and be able to negotiate wisely. So this is another area where many sellers lose money or can lose money. Ironically, usually the first offer that comes in will be the best offer. Before you accept any offer, just make sure you review all the contingencies, the time frames and everything. Make sure it's a great offer for you, and prioritize buyers who are pre-approved or offer cash to avoid any delays. You want to be flexible on closing dates to accommodate serious buyers. But again, in a seller's market, it's really what's best for you and your situation. With that, some common pitfalls to avoid. Even in a hot market with low inventory like we have here in Hawaii, sometimes sellers make mistakes that cost them time and money. And here are several things to avoid. Number one is overpricing your home. Homes priced 10% above market value get 50% fewer showings. Just 10% over market value. Number two, skipping repairs. Small issues like leaky faucets or faded or chipped paint that can actually scare off buyers. And number three is ignoring feedback. Listen to your agent and listen to the buyers out there and listen to the other agents. If multiple people mention the same problem, then you should consider fixing it or offering a credit in the listing. One example of that could be they might not like the carpeting in certain areas of the home. Then you can offer a credit of X amount of dollars to replace that carpeting with luxury plank flooring or something like that. Also, timing the market is key. Timing matters when selling on Oahu. Now, historically, spring and summer see the highest buyer activity, but winter buyers, they tend to be more serious. Here's a market tip for you. Make sure you list your home at least by a Thursday to maximize weekend showings, but of course, the sooner the better. And statistics show that homes listed on Thursdays actually sell 5 days faster on average. So here are some closing thoughts for you. Selling your Oahu home fast without losing money is absolutely possible with the right preparation and strategy. So from staging to pricing to marketing, every step plays a critical role in your success. If you're ready to sell your home or just exploring your options, feel free to reach out. Whether you're selling now or 9 months down the road, I'd love to help you navigate the process and maximize your profit. Here at Home Sweet Home Hawaii, it's our goal to make your move as smooth and stress-free as possible. Also, if you found this video to be helpful, please do us a favor of liking this video and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell for tips on Oahu real estate. Mahalo for watching, and until next time, aloha.